This is All About Home Construction. And here's your hosts, Terry Cannell Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Terry.
Happy Saturday, man.
Happy Saturday to you and everybody out there.
That's it. Gotta love a good summer high country Saturday.
Yep.
So, well, thanks for all of our listeners out there. Give us a call today, 828-262-1567. So how's the world of Randy Blake going this week?
Oh, it's been a good week.
Good.
This week's been a hay week.
Hay week.
Yep.
It's a great hot week to ride an air-conditioned tractor.
Yeah, that's right. It's got air conditioning. There's no cab on it. I get the wind blowing. How about that?
Okay.
And you know, my son Will, he put air conditioning in my cab tractor when he tore the door off.
Nice.
So, you know, it does get hot out there. Real hot, so you got to be tougher than some and crazier than others, I guess.
That's farming in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. So, well, that's cool. That's cool. Well, you have some things coming up at the VFW, some dinners and some breakfast coming up, and you got all sorts of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. We got breakfast next weekend, and we appreciate everybody that came out for the last breakfast. That was our biggest breakfast.
That's awesome.
40 people.
Sweet. So next weekend on the first of the month.
From 8 to 11, yeah.
First Saturday. Sweet.
And then we have our big dinner coming up on August 19th, the dinner for two, or if you think you're big enough to eat it by yourself.
Is there like a challenge? I get a T-shirt.
Yeah, no, you don't get a shirt, but we'll see who the biggest eaters in the county are.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
So instead of selling tickets, we're going to do a sign-up sheet, but you do have to come by and sign up and pay for it.
Okay.
And Terry did put my advertisement on the Facebook.
It's nice. Yeah, we're putting that up, and just to help the VFW out, and so I like the well, it's not the ticket idea, but I like the sign up sheet, but because that allows you to it's not to exclude anyone, it's just to allow you to fix what you need and make sure everybody gets food.
Well, the thing about it is it's an expensive dinner, and I just can't order one.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I can't order 20. You know, there'll be some waste left over. So
yeah,
but it's going to be a big meal.
Nice.
And we posted the pictures on Facebook.
Yeah,
and
looks good.
So I did all my test runs on Sundays, and I don't ever tell anybody when I'm going to do it, and because I like to get a piece of what I'm testing.
That's funny.
And out of that 2-pound rib, I only got 2 pieces about 2 inches long and 3/8 thick. They eat the salmon. I made enough beans so everybody could get beans, the bacon fried beans, and then we cut all the potatoes up in quarters, and I didn't get nothing.
You didn't get anything.
Just them 2 small pieces.
Well, it's because you should have invited me over, and see, I wouldn't have brought anybody. We'd have just ate it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying.
You're inviting the wrong people over.
And the fish and chips, I actually at 7 o'clock sold the 4 last pieces of fish.
Nice.
And the shrimp cocktail and the shrimp scampi went over excellent. And so I sold right at 10-pound of shrimp too.
That's cool. Sweet. Nice. So when's the next dinner again?
August 19th.
August the 19th. But breakfast is August the 5th.
Yep.
So next Saturday. Cool. There you go. That's your next 2 weekends planned out, basically.
Yep. And come join us. This morning it cost me $10 for breakfast at another place, and
you didn't get as much, did you?
And you don't get the variety of what you get, and plus it helps the VFW.
Well, that's it.
It helps the veterans.
You get these fast food breakfasts, and they cost $8-10 anymore, and I mean they give you food, but they don't fill you up. And this way you get a good old-fashioned breakfast, and you're helping a good cause, and so that's always a good thing.
Well, that's what it's for. And I hate to say this, but it's a dying cause.
Sure.
Did you know this week, last of the Navajo code talkers.
I didn't see. Yeah, I knew they
There's
were
one
getting
left.
thinned
He's
out.
101 years old.
Yeah. Okay. I knew they were getting thin, but I didn't know.
And the last one. So
that's cool.
So you got American Native and World War II veteran.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And that's that. I'm all about history. That's a cool movie. If you ever see that movie about the Navajo talkers.
Yep.
Wind Talkers, I guess is the name of it. It's a good movie. I got the impression I'm no World War II expert by any means, but I got the impression that's a pretty accurate movie for a historical movie.
Well, probably pretty close. You know how Hollywood is.
Yeah.
You know they have to follow.
They change things up to make it a script, make it cute and dramatic and
Yeah, correct.
yeah.
But it was that dramatic.
Yep.
And I mean, what I mean by that is every code talker had so many Marines with
Yeah.
them, and their job was to shoot them.
That was it. Not to let that code out.
You know, and that was, my brother-in-law was the same way. And when he's in Desert Storm, before Desert Storm, and he talked about that scaring him quite a bit.
Yep. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Because those are important people.
Yep, definitely.
And Tom Rainey told me yesterday that they used Spanish people in Vietnam to talk.
Okay.
He said they never knew if the Viet Cong or the Chinese broke the Spanish part, but
that's
cool. Pretty wild.
That's pretty cool. So, well, cool. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get into some all about home construction. We got. I do have a question for you, but I'm going to save this week's question because it's going to kind of tie in with our topic. So, stay tuned, and I'll ask you the question later on in the show. Thanks for listening to us. We'll take our first break. We'll come right back right after this. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right, all about home construction here on WATA. Again, give us a call, 828-262-1567. Don't forget about the podcast, All About Home Construction, as well. You can reach out to us on email, allabouthomeconstruction, Gmail's email there. So check that out. Fun stuff. Thanks for all you do to listen to us and support us.
Yes.
So today's topic, a little bit about safety. Job safety, some tips and ways just to kind of stay safe, not just for you as a business guy yourself. Maybe you're a contractor or a subcontractor, or maybe you're an employee or you have employees. But we all have clients too, and so some of these things can apply to everybody. When we say safety, it's pretty much anybody that's going to be associated with. And then name the project, right?
Correct. And you're correct right there about a homeowner being just as important as your employees and your subs. And that's the last thing you want would be a homeowner to get hurt.
Exactly.
Troy, it's been 10, 12 years ago at a Habitat house when Troy slipped and fell down through a stair chase.
Yep. Hit
the concrete and got a concussion and stuff, and that was just a mishap.
Yep.
And the thing is, I went back and looked at it because we put the roof on the house, and they did have a rail under it. It was just a freak accident.
Exactly.
And but most people don't realize that we're supposed to have a red line around the perimeter of a house being built, the framing on the floor, 6 foot from the exterior walls.
Okay.
And that is a OSHA requirement.
So it's a visual of, hey, you're getting close.
That's right. And to let you know that you have no business without a harness, because the rule is you can't go over 6 foot without a harness.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, all these precautions cost money.
Yep.
It's just not a free ride.
Well,
but the thing about it is, it keeps a lot of people from getting hurt.
Exactly. You know, so many times we have this safety first mentality, or at least motto, right? But I always was appreciated, the Dirty Jobs Micro.
Yeah.
He has a slogan. He has a little program, if you will, where it's, safety third. And the whole point of that is to say that, it's not the business's responsibility, I guess, in a sense, but basically, and I don't want to talk for him, but the way I can paraphrase it is, it's more important to take care of safety as an individual than it is to rely. So in other words, if I'm working for you, yes, you have safety things intact, but it's my job as an individual, as a person, to
protect yourself,
protect myself, and I always like that safety third kind of thing, because you're right, when you get that safety first mentality, it's almost like, well, Randy put red tape on, or red line on the wall, on the floor, so I'm safe, I'm good. Well, just because you do that doesn't mean that I can't still get hurt, right? I mean, you still got to pay
Correct.
attention.
That's right.
Still have to do things. Yeah.
They can even make you do it on the roof.
Right.
Last year when we had class, like a roofer,
mm-hmm.
a roofer has to wear boots onto the job, but once he gets on the structure, he can switch over to tennis shoes, which will allow him more grip without tearing up a shingle.
Makes sense, yeah.
And
and when you're talking about roofs, so far both conversations has led to falls, right?
Yeah.
And the reason being is 12% of all fatal falls, slips, trips in 2020 in the United States. So when you look at fatalities, 12% is in the construction business. And or 27.8% among workers, accounted for that. But nearly 12% of all fatal of those are in one line of business, if you will, right?
That's construction, and it's fall related.
Yeah,
and that's the reason the insurance is so high. When you start out, your liability insurance and your workman's comp and stuff is, you're at the max, and it takes years for the multiplier to work you down to it's a reasonable level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the insurance company pays you for being a person that doesn't have accidents.
Right.
If I make it to August 17th, I've had one accident in 35 years
awesome.
that I've had to have an insurance claim. But the point of it is, I'm the guy that's got hurt on the job,
mm-hmm.
and I take the time. I don't want anybody hurt.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's easy to think about those extreme cases, like you said. You're on the roof, right? You're putting in a window, so you're hanging on the side of a house, kind of thing. But anything that's over 4 feet, you can fall and get hurt on. So when you're building a set of stairs on a little porch out front, it's still a risk of falling.
Correct. It is, and you remember the old spiral stairways?
Mm-hmm.
All right, they come in against the 4-inch pipe, and that was all
Yep.
the edge of it.
Yep.
And what changed the codes on that was elderly people walking up them, because if they come too close to the inside and they slip,
There's not enough room. You go down.
They can fall 21 inches in just a few minutes, and that's enough to break a hip.
Exactly. Yeah.
And most people don't think about it, but just like Terry said right there, just a small fall, even if you catch yourself, okay,
mm-hmm.
you can end up causing disc damage in your lower back, okay, from just that small sudden stop. And it doesn't take many of those falls till your back starts hurting.
Exactly. Or you twist a knee or an ankle.
Yeah.
Or and then a lot more extreme, right? Like, it doesn't take much to fall and rattle your head, and get a concussion. We know so much more about concussion science now than we ever did before. And, back in the day, it was just like you just rang your bell kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're getting a concussion, and that's, that's not a good thing. You can only get so many of those.
And another thing, too, is you had on a job injury, you got to report it in so many hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for the labor department. They want to know what's going on.
Right.
And which we're pretty lucky here in Boone. Most people pay attention to what they have to do.
Sure.
Every now and then we'll have a death. I think 2005.
Yeah, I remember. It wasn't too long ago.
Avery County had one. 2000. Ashe County had one. 2005. And both deaths were freaks.
Yep.
But both deaths were caused by employees not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And both of them incorporated felting over a chimney hole. Mm-hmm. Where the chimney was coming through.
Yep.
Instead of cutting it out and letting the rain come through.
Yeah.
Or covering it up and make sure that everybody's off the roof and putting a red mark around it, letting them know that it's
there
dangerous.
It is, yeah. Well, and for those who's doing the actual labor, obviously, and it makes sense, right? Like all workers are at risk, but what we see is those actual laborers being at the biggest risk in terms of the trips, falls, slips, that kind of thing. But again, to me, it's just one of those things that, like, you think about it in these huge, climbing the ladders kind of thing, but it's some of those little things like the trips. I mean, how many times do you put down, you trip over sawdust, or you got a scrap board? And I've done this before where you've got a scrap. You cut off the end of a 2x4 or something like that, and you leave that little 4-inch scrap laying down, but it only takes you to step on it, and then you've twisted your ankle.
Yep.
Especially when you're carrying something, How many times have you been trying to move something or carry something heavy, where you're not really watching your feet, and then you step on something, even something 2 inches tall, a little block.
That's enough to roll your ankle.
Enough to roll you, and then you're carrying something heavy. There you go.
If you're on the scaffold, that's the highest fall you ever make. It scares you to death.
Yeah.
An inch and a half.
Yeah. Exactly, and so that to me is one of those important things that just gets overlooked because it's so it's one of those things that's something easy to fix. It's easy to sweep up stuff. It's easy to clean cords out of the way, but it's also easy to leave them.
Yes, it is,
and that's where the problem comes to.
And so there's a cost on a house every day, that 15-20 minute cleanup.
Sure.
Okay. And most of the time the contractor absorbs that. Sometimes there has to be so much in the bid.
Right.
And so I'd say probably, if you really think about it, a house about 5% for safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and that cleanup, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think that's where a lot of the homeowners get injured on job sites, is they come in and try to help clean up, and I respect that. I would do the same thing, but that when they're doing that, now they're at the same risk as any laborer, because essentially they are a laborer, in terms of what they're doing.
Correct.
And so it's the things like that where you're sweeping and you don't look behind you, and then you've stepped and fell or something like that.
And it only takes a second.
Exactly. So.
And we've had homeowners come on the job and do exactly what you said. They want to help clean up and stuff. And the good point of them is most of them get burnt out with it and leave.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing wrong with sweat equity.
Sure.
As far as I'm concerned. But they still have to, me being the licensed entity on the job, even though they own it, they still have to abide by my rules.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Well, I sort of mentioned something there, talking about heavy lifting and carrying things. Nearly 93% of all construction laborers are required to use what they call medium or heavy strength. And so I was reading a study where they've and this is 2021, I believe, study 2020, 2021, where they've taken all the industries, different works, different jobs, and kind of put them in a list of like carrying things and what you carry and how much. And it's just kind of interesting because it says on average construction laborers are required to lift or carry 58.8 pounds compared to the average for all other occupations of 26.3 pounds.
Well,
so
that don't quite work because a bag of cement weighs 92 pounds.
Well, I don't know the whole study, but you get a bag of cement, but then you're picking up your hammer next, and I think I think that's kind of the average is where that comes in, but but the fact that you're carrying that around all day, and it makes sense because you wore a tool belt.
Oh,
that
yeah.
13-ounce hammer doesn't feel 13 ounces when you wear it all day, does it?
Well, back when I was framing, my hammer was 32 ounces.
There you go.
And then you had your cat's paw, you had your tape, and I always wanted leather bags.
Yeah.
So
so that's heavy too.
Instead of canvas bags, and you buy the tool bags. It's all built in one, and
Yep.
buckle in the back. Mm-hmm. Well, I always had a belt with my bags on the side, and I'd say time I got at the end of the day with all the nails and everything in it, and it probably weighed 15, 18 pounds.
Right. And you're carrying that every time you move. And then, like you've said, though, bag of concrete, bag of cement, bricks and block. Those aren't easy. But even little things. How many times have you picked up a bundle of wood or a beam or something, and you're just like, man, this is just...
Well, we've coated shingles in the middle of winter. I guarantee you weigh 150 pound a bundle.
Yeah. And so when you start thinking about that, and then that takes its toll on the body. And again, the slips, trips, and falls aside, because anytime you add weight to carrying something, it messes up your equilibrium, and you're easy to topple over to something like that compared. But I think where we see most injuries in terms of weight and lifting is the actual lifting, right? Picking things up. And
years ago we didn't have boom trucks, okay, and it all come on the job on a 2-ton or a 1-ton, and it wasn't nothing to carry 2 bundles of shingles up a ladder, to put them, because you had to put them on the roof.
Yep.
So that right there puts you right at 184 pounds that you had on one shoulder.
Right.
So, I mean, you had to have a little bit of muscle to do it, and which there's a little known rule that most people don't realize, and that you can get by with. And during the time period that my kids was growing up, is they could come on the job because they were my sons.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. And there's many a times Will and Adam was all the way up where I was on the roof.
Yeah. And
I grew up that way, being a farming kid, hanging the back, and the best part of that's barn tag, forward backer season,
Yeah. Yep.
So I've always used to being on high areas.
Well, again, it's just a matter of paying attention, but
even paying attention, accidents happen. That's the whole point of it.
Well, and I like that you said that, because one of those myths that you see often is this idea that, well, they're called accidents, that just happen, and they do, but at the same time, if you're being proactive and you're putting the steps forward, it reduces that chance of accidents.
Correct.
And so that's the key. We'll be right back right after another break. Thanks for listening to us. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And don't forget about the podcast. Thanks for all of our listeners on the podcast, near and far. And share it with some friends. So if you're listening to this show live and you want to go back, or you want to say, hey, I got a friend who needs to know about job safety, then there you go.
Hey, it's important. Sure. And, job safety includes other things, too. And we was talking about before we started this morning. And is lead testing.
So that gets me to, all right, so here's my question for you for the week. I always have listener and questions and stuff that come up throughout the week. So the question this time is asbestos testing. What about those little test kits? You can find kits online or at a box store that you can buy and send off, and anywhere from $10 to $60, right? What about those kits? Like how? I mean, what's your thoughts on those kits? And that was going back to the safety part. But what's your thought?
Well, when it comes to asbestos, we're taught what we can touch and what we can't.
Right.
All right, and we've all walked on asbestos tiles all of our life. They're not full 100 asbestos.
Right.
The drop ceilings in your commercial. In your doctor's office, if they were built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they still had asbestos in the tile. That's to keep the building, allow people to get out. Not much asbestos in any side, drywall. We had a scare from, about 10 years ago from drywall coming out of Canada that had asbestos in it.
Right.
A lot of countries aren't as strict on their rules as we are.
Sure.
And as a contractor, I can remove legally certain types of asbestos in a house.
Right.
Okay? And that's the ceiling tile, the floor tile. There's something else that we can remove. Oh, the siding on the exterior of the house. Remember the old concrete asbestos? We can. But all that there, when you remove it, you need to be able to spray it. Okay. Or have a humidifier in there to cut down on the dust particles, and but you're allowed to take it down. You have to wear protection now, a mask,
right,
and glasses and gloves, but it's all got to be bagged 3 times. Yeah. Then it can go in the landfill.
Well, that's the thing about these kits that I have kind of researched is whatever kit you get, is make sure that you're wearing a mask and wearing gloves and goggles because most of those kits you're cutting. The one example I was reading about, was talking about the ceiling tiles in a house, a residential house, and so the guy was cutting a 1x1 or 2x2 little square out of the ceiling. And this particular test kit had a little bag, and I think most of them are about the same. You put you're getting that sample, you're putting it in the bag, and you're sending it off.
There is some asbestos in that 12 by 12 tile. The old tile that they put up with a staple gun.
Yep.
There is asbestos in that too. But it's there. But you do not have to test for it because we know it's there.
We know it's there, right.
All right, but you got to follow proper protocol on removing.
Gotcha. Well, asbestos it occurs. I mean, it's a natural mineral. And I think that's one thing people don't realize is it's a natural occurring mineral.
Correct.
It's in nature. But but that's why they used it, because it's I mean, as a product, safety aside, it's a cool product. It doesn't burn. It's easy.
Correct.
It's an easy product to find. It's an easy product to manipulate in terms of manufacturing things.
And it's a product that a lot of times grows right beside gypsum.
Yeah.
You know, and they're similar in shape,
Yep.
just different colors.
Yeah. So there you go. But now, science has figured out what it is really is that it gets airborne and those particles get in your lungs and your lungs can't get
them out.
rid of it. Yeah, I mean, when you we all get pneumonia as a kid or something. When you get like a sinus infection that turns into pneumonia type thing, your body's able to get rid of that. Your lungs can absorb it and get rid of that. But when you get something like asbestos in there, it just sits in your lungs, and that's where the health concern is, right?
Yeah.
It causes health problems, COPD and things like that, because your body just can't get rid of that mineral.
Can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
The lead from lead paint, sanding, same thing. Matter of fact, most people, North Carolina passed a law that they didn't want any gravel roads, okay?
Yep.
And that's because OSHA passed a law about silicon poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, silicon poisoning has anything to do with masonry products.
Right.
All right, especially if you got to grind them, you got to cut them.
So that's what a gravel road is.
And every time you go down a gravel road, that's silica.
Yep.
Dust flying and dirt dust flying up that you're breathing in that your body can't get rid of.
Well, I've been down some dirt roads in my life, so I guess I'm in trouble.
But the tests are a good job. To mention another test that doesn't even pertain to what we're doing, but radon tests, they're a good test that you can do in your house.
Right.
But the only thing about a radon test is you cannot disturb that area for 3 days. You can't.
That's the hard part.
You can't open the door, close the door to see you're putting it in your basement.
Yeah. And radon's a big deal that we can do here in the high country. I mean, because it's something that occurs in the mountains, and so.
But I blame that on a lot of contractors because they don't put down a good plastic on the ground,
right,
or underneath their concrete, or. Like what we like to do is chalk a line around, and we like to take weather shield and make a gasket all the way around the concrete.
Yeah,
and then glue it. Then it glues to the 6 mil plastic.
That's still going back to the safety aspect of that is the construction methods that we do impact safety a lot. I mean, that's what the code book is for in a lot. I mean, essentially, right? If you could sum up the code book, the reasoning for the code book in one sentence is for safety.
It is for the homeowner.
Yeah.
But it's a minimum code.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't. If there's somebody out there that builds to the code, then they're not a very good builder. I hate to say that.
Right.
Because most people exceed it.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing happens with OSHA standards, right? If you have a job site where you are just doing the bare minimum safety, it's probably not the safest job site.
No, it's not.
But I'm thinking, too, that when you have these, construction methods impact safety and health as well, I think, because how many times let's take the example you were just talking about with radon, right? By cutting a corner on something as simple as laying plastic, you're now endangering the homeowner with, say, radon. Or something as simple as skipping a stud in the wall. Now you're endangering the homeowner because that wall could fall and hurt somebody.
Not necessarily.
Well, that's probably
but
you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Like when you build, and that's what the code's for. I mean, we say the code's to keep the house from falling down, but the truth is the code's to keep the house from falling down and hurting somebody.
That's right. We if you look at North Carolina codes, and golly, there I'm stumbling around. But let's go back here. Let's do these tornadoes that hit last week.
Yeah,
those were a little older homes and stuff like that. But when we get hit with hurricanes and stuff like that, North Carolina homes have a tendency to hold up a little better, especially the newer homes than other states. And that means a lot because let's take a big storm. If we didn't have all the hangers and the bells and whistles that we put in the house, there'd be a lot of debris flying.
Sure.
Because when I was out in Oklahoma, I'm going, why don't anybody do any metal roofs out here? And Adam said, well, the problem is it's dangerous, Dad.
It's a big sill.
When the tornadoes come through, it cuts up a lot of people where shingles can hit you and bruise you. Yeah. They won't kill you.
Makes sense.
And Tornado Alley, and we got to experience some of the tornadoes out there on TV and watching the storm chasers, but we build pretty good homes here.
Yeah.
And with the way North Carolina wants us to build, yes, it makes our homes a little more expensive, but they should hold up a lot better down the road. The biggest trouble we have is we got a homeowner that wants to buy a set of plans, and he wants us to build to those plans when it doesn't meet the state regulations on wind codes.
Well, and that's where it's important to know, or to have a building or engineer that understands the location and locality.
Correct, because now, like we've said before, and I've asked the questions why we're not building seismic in our homes, but we're the answer that I got back is that we're building. North Carolina's doing wind codes
instead of
seismic.
Yeah.
Commercial's been building seismic since 1986. Mm-hmm. And the other day when I was looking at the new school in Valley Cruces going up, because I was putting hayfield up right beside it, and all the rebar was sticking 4 foot above the block.
Yeah.
So that guy right there has to pick that block up 4 foot just to lay it down.
Yep.
And so whoever puts the rebar in's got to make sure it's right, coming from the ground up.
Sure.
And so that'll carry all the way out the top, that rebar will, and connect to a plate on top so the rafter system connect on it so the wind can't pick it up.
Yeah.
So it's connected all the way to the ground. That's the seismic part of it.
Okay.
Well, ours with the wind would be the hangers.
Right.
Proper nailing. We have a code for nailing the sheeting on the wall. We have a code for nailing the sheeting on the roof.
Yeah.
And it is all for the wind.
Exactly. Yeah, because you don't want it to take off. But I would imagine there's some crossover with the seismic. I mean, if you got a properly placed nailing pattern and
correct
hangers, it's going to help with the.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. All right, we'll be right back. More safety right after this. Thanks for listening. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And share with a friend. Tell some friends about it. That's what we ask. Talk a little bit about job safety. And Randy, one other thing, and I think this, when you think of construction, to me, this is one of the first and most important safety concerns, and that's using equipment, right? Using the saws, using the tools.
Correct.
And 60% of construction laborers work in proximity to moving and mechanical parts. I would say that's probably a little low. I'm curious to know what the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, like what they consider machinery and moving parts, because how many times on a job site do you not use a saw, right?
Well, quite a bit. When most people, growing up with a saw wasn't nothing to me. Mm-hmm. But here I go, in my late 40s and cut the end of my finger off after all these years,
Well,
so it'll get you. The biggest thing about, and what I tell people is everything we use on the job type of saw, miter saw, any electronic product or electric product that you use is over 60 decibels.
Right.
Okay. And
wait, huh? What'd you say? Huh?
Yeah, you heard me. Huh? And they want you to wear ear protection.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time wearing ear protection because when you got your ear protection in, you can't hear what anybody else is saying.
Yeah, I know.
And that's just important to be able to.
Well, but then you're like me, and so I'll start to wear headphones to help knock out some of the background noise. But then on the flip side, what am I doing? I'm turning my music or my podcast up.
That's right. So see, it defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
And then it defeats the point of safety.
Yeah.
So if you're right-handed, put your little squeeze bud in your ear on your right ear, so that way your left ear's open. If you're left hand, put it in left hand. So there's a compromise there.
Well, for me too, I think, you made a good point with the decibels, because that's one of the things that we don't, but safety glasses is the same thing, right? It's one of those things that how many people when they turn a saw on, make one cut, actually drop the safety glasses down and put them on, right?
Yeah.
I'm real bad to not do that one. I'll tell you what.
And I can't stand my glasses to get dusty.
Well, that's me. And I'm real bad. I'll call myself out on this one. I'm real bad when, you were talking about working for 40 years with a saw and then finally getting hurt on it, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that becomes like when you're younger and you're, get a new tool even today, right? Like if you get a new type of saw or a new something, you're careful with it. But after you've done it 100 times and muscle memory takes over, that's when you don't pay attention. And,
Correct.
And there's been times where I've taken, doing floor work where I got a jigsaw. I'm real bad for this one where I'm just kind of holding it in between my legs, and cutting a corner off, or like if I'm scribing around a fireplace or something. And it's little things like that where you try to rush or you try not, like I'm going to save myself a 10-foot walk by just cutting it right here. And those are the things, that's when the danger happens, right? And you see that, like, how many times have you saw, good or bad, I would say bad, but how many times have you saw someone grab a circular saw and out in the middle of the air and cut it, right?
Yeah. I've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
Golly, you have to.
You have to, but at the same time, when you do that 100 times, that 101 time, you're not thinking about it the same as you did that first time. And you catch your cord, or you catch this, or you drop this, or your fingers are too close, and that's where the problem comes.
Like I was telling Terry, it's against the law to walk a wall. Mm-hmm. Okay? And let's say, now that we build more out of 2x6s, which we can go back to build 2x4s now under the new codes, and but there you are, you walk on the top of a wall, and generally with a rafter system like that, you walk in 3.5 inches, and you're always cutting your rafter tails from up above.
Yeah.
And there's some instances, OSHA wants you to build a scaffold from the ground all the way up to cut that off.
Right.
Okay? But when you're 50, 60 foot in the air, that's a long scaffold to build up.
Yeah.
And plus you have to brace it intermediately, so now it's better to go ahead and put your harness on and reach over and cut that.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, and you have to learn how to cut left-handed. You have to learn how to cut right-handed.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
And people just say, well, how do you do that? And I said, well, when you grow up doing it, you can do it.
You start to do, yeah. Well, the last sort of thing that I think is important when we're talking about job safety, and I know this is one of those sort of required things as well, but it goes a little deeper than that. But that's maintaining like a clear and transparent communication
with everybody.
With everybody, exactly. And that goes everything from maybe a sign if you need it, the red line taped or painted on, like you said, all the way down to that weekly safety meeting.
Well, every Monday morning, you're required to have a safety meeting. And a safety meeting doesn't just pertain to just safety, just safety by itself. What I mean by that is, when you go to job, you need to have your safety meeting on the job for what you're getting ready to do.
Right.
Okay. Here a few years ago, we had to take down a concrete column. I showed Terry the pictures of it. It's 35 foot in the air.
Yep.
And out in the middle of a bunch of columns because it was the only one falling. And I have to commend Mark Ehrlich for his scaffold building because he built it up around it, 2 sets of scaffold, and had the boards all the way up to the top, or, walk planks, not boards, because you build a scaffold, you want
right. You want something solid.
Yeah, you want the aluminum planks, and everybody got flipped out about it because it's leaning. So I'm the oldest man in the herd, and I ain't afraid of heights. So I put my harness on, crawled out there, and I'm the one that cut it loose.
Right. Sure.
But I took a chain and I put around it, and I tied it back to the house, so in case if it did,
you could right.
Because if that thing moved, it would have tore about down both scaffolds, and which the type of harness I use, we use rock climbing harness,
right,
instead of the OSHA harness, because the rock climbing harness is approved, but you're tied off at the front.
You get a different point, yeah.
Not the back above your shoulders, but that way you can let yourself down.
Exactly.
Instead of your lanyard, once your lanyard kicks,
yep,
and you go down 8 foot, then somebody else has got to release you to get you down.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Hopefully that helps some people out. Job safety. Again, safety is important, and it's one of those things that we all have to pay attention to. You can't rely on, the boss man to take care of it.
And the life you save might be your own.
That's it. And a lot of times it is. So be smart, be safe out there. We do appreciate everyone.
Yes, we do.
Well, Randy, don't forget your breakfast next weekend, next Saturday at the VFW. Good breakfast.
Yep, 8 to 11.
8 to 11.
Meat eaters. You got taters and eggs.
There you go.
And, one thing I like is fresh tomatoes with country gravy, too, so we try to keep fresh tomatoes there. Orange juice for the kids, which there's some adults that eat a lot of orange juice.
Yep. I like orange juice. I drink a lot of orange juice, but that's a whole other discussion for a whole other show. Thanks for listening to us again, and share the podcast with your friends. Tell people to tune in next time, and there we go. Thanks for listening to us. We'll see you next time. Take it easy, Randy.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to All About Home Construction on the podcast. We record this live every Saturday on AM 1450 and FM 96.5 WATA in Boone, North Carolina. You can become a supporter by supporting us with a small monthly donation, and that'll help sustain future episodes. You can do that for as little as 99 cents a month, and that'll go a long way to help our show. Do that, you get your name or your company name included in our advertisements. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.